What are we discussing on today's podcast? Well, it's crossover time with Locked On Padres host Javier Reyes to discuss Shohei Ohtani's injury, how does it affect his free agent market, and then drafting the best home run celebrations, all on today's Locked On Diamondbacks crossover.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code Locked On, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. I'm Miller Thomas, host of this wonderful podcast, multimedia journalist, and graphic designer. So go please check out my website, MillerThomas24.myportfolio.com. Check me out on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for the personal account, or look up Locked On Diamondbacks, both Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle. And thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day on all your podcasting platforms. And please hit subscribe on Locked On Diamondbacks on YouTube. Now, without further ado, as we do every week, one of our podcast guests for a little crossover action. We got Javier Reyes of Locked On Padres. Woo, 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 woo.
What's up, man? What's up? How you doing?
What's up, man? Another week, another crossover, another draft. As always, we got the NL wild card heating up. It's the final stretch of the baseball season. How are we feeling right now?
Pretty good because, dude, I missed you last week. I think we didn't manage to do it last week, and I missed it. I love doing these, but yeah, man. I mean, it's fun. Like, I had like only one person like message me the other day, as well as just my mom asking me like, how is it hard? Like with the Padres being such a mess and like looking unlikely to make the postseason. It's like I think you just kind of have to appreciate small things. Like I really love watching Ha-Seong Kim. I'm hoping that Tatis does well, even if we don't win, because I just want to shut people up. And they're this weird like obsession people have lately with like wanting him to be bad and making fun of him because whatever. I mean, a bunch of reasons we don't have to get into, but yeah, man, just hanging in there. And I can't lie to you, there still are. I have like split second feelings every now and then where I'm like, we're back. You know what I mean? Like what I don't know if you saw Ha-Seong Kim hit a grand slam this week and they beat the Marlins in that game. I had like I'm gonna say 10 seconds. I'll say 10 seconds. I was like, we're back.
Like we're just back in it.
Yeah. And then they got shut out the very next day by a pitcher who had been giving up like 10 runs a start for the last 4 starts. So hey, that's just the season though.
Yeah, because even though they haven't been great, they've just been close enough in those standings where it's like 4.5 games here, 5 games there, where like, you know what? We put together 2.5 weeks, a 15-game stretch of really good baseball where we go like 11-4, 12-3, and you never know. And, there's still 33 games left or whatever, hobby baseball. You never know what could happen in the rest of the season here with the San Diego Padres. I wouldn't bet on it, but you never know. Because like we just saw with the, the LA Angels, their superstar Shohei Ohtani, who is an impending free agent, has a little tear in his UCL, already underwent Tommy John surgery back in 2018. It looks like he's going to do the Bryce Harper route, where Bryce Harper, we just saw this past year. Last year had that elbow injury. He needed Tommy John in the offseason, but he was still able to manage just to DH the rest of the season. Of course, Bryce Harper carried that Phillies offense to the World Series. So even though Ohtani's not going to be pitching, he can still be the best, most impactful position player in Major League Baseball. But how do you think this injury now affects his free agent market? Do you still think a team's going to go out there and give him, the 10-year, $600 million? Do you think maybe Ohtani's like, you know what? Let me take a short-term deal and come back to the Angels and rehab and then hit the market in a couple years. What do you think happens now?
It's interesting because we've had like a couple players have these like interesting contract decisions the past couple years. Recently, I'm plugging my team like with Michael Wacha with this. It's like a mutual option, but then becomes a player. I don't have time to get into it all because, in fact, I don't have all the details right in front of me. But it's like this really weird deal that if he pitches a certain amount of innings, it becomes player, and then something becomes mutual. It's whatever. But it's more complicated. And then you have Carlos Correa opting for the 1-year thing. Like maybe we might be heading for a little bit. The Julio Rodriguez contract is a great example, and I think the most relevant to this discussion because Julio Rodriguez's contract is chunky. He's getting paid, but it can get really crazy depending on like milestones and how well he plays in the games and if he wins MVPs and stuff like that. That was baked into the contract. So I think we might see something similar. I think, unfortunately, this very much cost him a lot of guaranteed money. There's no way around that. It stinks. It now is not going to be that 600 million or whatever that people were thinking he was going to get. I think what's going to happen is he'll make like, whatever Carlos Correa was going to get, like around that, or I should say what Carlos Correa was going to get with the Giants and Mets, like maybe like that 300 type of deal just as a batter, because his bat has been amazing this year.
Yeah, maybe
I guess he just saw that Aaron Judge, that was what it took to take away the MVP from him. So he's like, I'll just do that. That's apparently what he did. So I think he'll get paid that. And then there's going to be all these incentives. And I think it actually makes sense for both parties, whichever team ends up signing him, be like, all right, this contract will get crazy, but for good reason, because it'll be like, oh, because he's now doing both things for us. So I think that's what's going to happen is there's going to be so many incentives. I think we're going to get one of the more creative, unique contracts we've seen in a long time, where it's 280 million, something like that, whatever. And for a long time. And then it's like, if he pitches 100 innings, it goes up by 100 million. And if he does it again, then it goes up by a lot. So I think that's what's going to happen. And I pretty much would guarantee that, because I don't know, like if the agent for Ohtani isn't trying to take into account like the pitching, he's like, we're not going to settle for you almost taking advantage of him being hurt to try and just paying him as a hitter, when we all know if he gets healthy and everything, you're going to want to use him as a pitcher. So I think that's what's going to happen. And I think it's still going to be awesome seeing where he ends up going this offseason.
Well, yeah. Well, because of that last point you made, I wonder now if all the options are now on the table for Ohtani this offseason. And maybe this is actually the best case scenario for the Los Angeles Angels, at least keeping Ohtani for the short term, because I wouldn't honestly even be surprised. I think we've seen this in the past with some other athletes, and maybe not just in baseball, but across sports, where it's like, your free agency is coming up. You're a guy who is one of the top players on the market, but because you get hurt right before your free agency, sometimes you just take that 1 or 2 year deal to go back to your team, rehab for a season, maybe play a little bit so you could re-up your value, and then you get free agency once again and get the contract that you always deserved. I think for Ohtani now, because of this, he could come back to the Angels and miss all of next season, rehab from Tommy John. Maybe he signs a 2-year deal this offseason with like a player option or a team option in that second half, or in that second year. He comes back that second year. He shows everyone he's healthy. He balls, and now Ohtani at age 31 hits the open market again. And now with, probably inflation in 2 years is going to be even higher. Yeah. Now Ohtani's looking at a $700 million contract over a 9-year period. So I actually think for the Angels, this could work out for the short term, that Ohtani comes back. And you know what else? If he does come back just for rehab, just take that short-term deal to hit the free agency in 2 years, maybe now you can actually build that team instead of doing all these desperate moves where you call up your first-round pick in this past year's draft to play immediately, and you're trading. I wasn't mad at the trade deadline deals, but now you don't have to be desperate where you make every decision in the prism of Ohtani's leaving in 3 months. Now you're like, okay, Ohtani might leave in 24 months, and now we have a little bit longer of a runway to finally build something sustainable, and maybe that actually is a better proposal to Ohtani to stay long-term than what you're currently doing.
Yeah, maybe. But and apologies to the Locked On Angels boys, the Halo Bros. They do an amazing job over there. Awesome stuff. And I agree with them. They've been roasting Ben Verlander today on the timeline, rightfully so. But I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't want him to leave. Like, yeah, I think though it would be unfortunate, and this is where my bias comes in, if he went to the Dodgers, because it would be like, all right, here they go for 4 out of the last 5 off seasons, just getting the top free agent, whatever. But I think it would be better than him staying with the Angels, because I don't think they know what they're doing, man. And to be honest with you, I think they should have traded him. I think they should have traded Trout years ago, because what you could get a clean slate, you could get prospects, and I don't know. I just think that it would have been really great for them to be like, let's just turn this around, because it's not working for whatever reason. Like, they just can't find a way despite having all these guys. It's going to be mentioned in an ESPN documentary years from now that they had two people are probably going to be like, these are two top 30 players of all time.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, top 30.
And maybe the top two since like 2000, you can argue.
Yeah. Like, and since 2000, like some of the best of the generation, absent your A-Rods and Bonds and players like that. Right. So yeah, I mean, I feel for the Angels fans. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to pull Stephen A. Smith where he's like, nobody cares about you.
Yeah, when the Stephen A. versus Lonzo Ball, where it's like, you can't sit down, bro. Going like that.
No, not that part. That's a whole other thing. We got to talk about that offline. But no, just the whole like, hey, Angels fans, nobody cares about you. I don't like doing that. That's such a boring thing. Why should media relevance and popularity determine like what a player should do all the time? And since not everybody cares, that means you as a reporter shouldn't care. I just have an issue with that. I know Stephen A is a little bit more of a personality now, but you get my point. So I don't necessarily like that, but I have to admit, like, I just want them to make the playoffs, and I personally feel like it's not going to happen with the Angels. So anywhere. Heck, I hate the Yankees, but like, could you imagine that? That would be pretty wild to watch. I mean, it'd be pretty wild. Mets, Mariners would be fun.
Yeah.
Padres would be fun. A little D-backs action.
Hey.
Why not? I don't know. Why not?
Ohtani has to get to a big market, and why not a place where it's sunny 365 days a year? You look at the winter time, there is no winter time. Christmas, Thanksgiving, you chill outside in shorts in the swimming pool. Why not come to Arizona and join the dogs out here? Shohei Ohtani. If you want to do that, we'll make you very rich. It will make you very happy. Coming up, we're going to be drafting the best home run celebrations in all of baseball. But first, let me talk to our listeners about this incredible new app. Well, it's not very new. It's been around for a while. I actually use it every single season for the fantasy football season, and it's called Sleeper because actually in my fantasy football league, it's, the fantasy football season is right around the corner, and my dynasty league on the Sleeper app actually made a trade today, traded away Calvin Ridley and acquired Jonathan Taylor. So two kind of wild cards right now in football, and I am desperate on running back, so I am very happy to see JT. And the Sleeper app is great hobby, not just because you could play your fantasy sports on there, but you can also do daily fantasy and make some money. Because if you think Corbin Carroll and Shohei Ohtani are going to hit home runs, if you pick those two players, you can win up to 100 times your money. You just pick players with some stat categories. You get your picks right, and you can win big. So please go to Sleeper, use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. And don't forget to catch every D-backs and Padres pitch on their hometown broadcast when you download the Sirius XM app and search up either Diamondbacks or Padres. Now let's get back into the Locked on Diamondbacks crossover with Locked on Padres, and let's draft the best home run celebrations, because admittedly, I'm not gonna lie to you, Javi, a lot of these were kind of new to me, and I'm like, how have I not seen all these fun home run celebrations? Is it because I'm not following these teams on social media? I do not know why, but when you talk about baseball and exposure and bring the fun and excitement, I'm like, oh my God, these home run celebrations are incredible. But yet, how have I gone 25 years of my life, 20 of those probably watching baseball, and I'm not seeing like half of these home run celebrations? Very ominous to me. But where's my trusty old quarter at? That's always the worst part of this podcast. I never know. Wow, I actually sit next to a thing of quarters and nickels and dimes right here on my desk. Who knew? Let's see. I have a game token here. We'll say the side that says the name of the bar is the head side. So as always, I'm assuming you're saying heads, Javi. So this is heads right here. It says level 1. Let's flip it.
Hold on. I always do tails. Oh,
excuse me. You're right. You're a tails man. So the one that says level 1 is for me.
Okay.
Level 1. All right. Heads. I mean, Millard goes first. Funny how the gods do that.
You've won like every coin toss.
My God. Funny how the gods lay it down. So going number 1 in this little draft of home run celebrations, there's a lot of wacky ones in here. A lot of these involve props or wearing something. I think for number 1, I'm going to go with a team that's not the best team in Major League Baseball. I don't know how many people are watching them this season. They're not having the greatest season after starting the year. If you remember that first month of the season, this was one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. Our guy Ethan Smith in the Locked On chat was pounding the table. This team is back. O'Neal Cruz. I can't name another player on that roster. Andrew McCutchen. Look at my squad. Unfortunately, the Pirates have slowed down, but you know what's still fun with the Pirates? Those home run celebrations, because at #1 overall, I'm taking those little prop swords. I'm a guy who quietly and admittedly, I do have a little black belt in my background, so I do a little sword work in my free time. I got the katana in my Jersey crib, so I love a little sword action, so I'm going to have to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates and their little sword buckling, little mastership celebration.
Firstly, real quick, everybody, if you just type in team celebrations, I think it's from MLB.com. There's a great GIF of G-Man Choi swinging the sword around. It's so cool. First of all, immaculate flex there, my friend, on the black belt. I, for one, made it to red, which was for where I was taking my Taekwondo lessons, as they called it. I was the belt right before black. I don't think I ever made it to black. I was like right there, but I stopped. But the red was big time. I remember when I got that. It was like the coolest thing ever when it happened to me. I was pumped, man. Those were good times. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't like the sword thing? And people might remember actually from a couple years ago, Guillermo Heredia of the Atlanta Braves, when he was on this is, I think, 2021. He ran out with like these plastic swords, so it wasn't as cool looking, like the actual prop, as the Pirates version, but it was cool. You can look it up, and Heredia would just like run onto the field with like these plastic swords. It was really, really cool. I like it. I think it's a great pick. And especially for a team that, like, you need something to get fans excited about, right? You know what I mean? You need to make them happy. So I think it's great, man. That's good stuff.
And sadly, my D-backs are not on this list, so I'm kind of inspired because the D-backs have the pool at Chase Field. What if we got like some pool noodles as our home run celebration? We're doing a little sword fight with pool noodles? I don't know.
Hey, go crazy, you know, bring out a rattlesnake, you know what I mean?
Like, bring out snake. What if I had like a flute? It was like, put the little snake around.
It's actually great. Like, there's got to be some prop thing that you can make it look like a snake comes out of it. You know what I mean? They got to have something. You could play a flute like they have a pot near the dugout. That'd be great. I think you just gave them an idea. You should pitch them that.
All right, D-backs, listen up. All right, -- 2 in the draft, Javi.
I'm taking the proper #1 pick, and it is true. Wow. It is true. Every now and then, I don't think it's always true, but for a good portion, I'll give you that, of these drafts, I tend to start off strong. It's just at the end when I do like my bit pick for the bit. The personal pick for the bit. Like when I picked, I forgot who I picked, like in the Yankees.
Sonny Gray. It was like Sonny Gray, best trade deadline moves.
Yeah, it was like the funniest trade deadline move. Or it was most memorable, and I picked Gray because he immediately got good after leaving, and they could have had Darvish. That's what I think my reasoning was. But my pick is going to be a team that the Padres recently got beat by twice in a 2-game series. It is a team that they've made a trade with before that unfortunately gave us Austin Nola. It is a team that we have a lot of similarities with. We play them every year. We practice the same places sometimes. All those spring training games, etc. I am going with the Seattle Mariners and their unbelievably glorious trident. Look, a couple weeks ago, rewatched Aquaman with Jason Momoa for I think my second time. That is just, it's such a campy, great movie, but I love the cheesiness of it. And this isn't cheesy. It is a little bit, but it's just cool. And it's just a damn trident. And I like that you picked the sword too, because this reminds me of I think it was a couple years ago. I don't know if they still do it, but the KBO championship was just this giant, like the trophy is just a giant sword. I'm not making this up. Go look it up. It is the coolest thing ever. It looks like something out of The Legend of Zelda that the villain would use. Awesome stuff. And I think these both attest to that. We need cool trophies. You know what I mean? We need to just go all out there with some of these things. And I just think the trident's cool. It's gold. You can't miss it. It obviously fits the Mariners. And I just like the idea of seeing Julio hit a home run and get back into the dugout, rocking a trident, looking like he's Aquaman, Jason Momoa, about to rule the seven seas, have all the animals of the ocean at his command. And they're a team that's on fire right now. So clearly it's not a team that's cursed or anything like that, where you're seeing them do these celebrations and you're like, I mean, it's cool, but it'd be better for winning. So shouts to the Mariners. Love the trident. And yeah, I mean, the Mariners find ways to be cool a lot, even when they're bad. So
yeah, I like how on brand it is, because as cool as the pirate sword thing is, I don't know. Do pirates have swords? I guess they have swords. I guess it's kind of on brand, but the trident really feels very Mariner, very sea based, very Seattle, and just overall as a symbol, I just think the trident's cool, and it's such a big prop. I love the big props. I think they're just something aesthetically pleasing about it. Yeah, and Percy Jackson, one of my favorite things growing up.
Poseidon, me too.
Poseidon. Exactly. So it's
new series coming out too. New series coming out.
Plus, that'll be exciting. When that drops. So Mariners, I'm not upset that you took that number one. I mean, you just read the MLB.com article and took their number one pick, so that's cool.
Unbelievable, this guy. Finding a way to get me. Go ahead. Take your pick.
Okay. Take your pick. Yeah, that was an unnecessary shot. I'm actually really sorry about that one. But number 3 in this draft, I think, is super fun because I'm a guy born and raised in New Jersey. You're also a guy from New Jersey as well. Big show from New Jersey, famous on TV, The Sopranos, right? And what is Sopranos about? It's all about that mob life, that gangster life. And one team that does that with their home run celebration is the Southside Chicago White Sox, who put on the mobster jacket, the mobster hat, and they're out there pimping home runs with the Luis Roberts and the Eloy Jimenezes when they're playing games and when they're healthy, because that's far and few between. But I'm taking the White Sox and the little mobster outfit that they put on. Back in the day, fun story, in 5th grade for Halloween, I dressed up as a pimp and I went to school. And my teacher was not very happy at me. She said, "Do you know what a pimp is?" I said, "No." She said, "It's not a very good thing." I said, okay.
I like the idea of you having that conversation, just visualizing that. You're just looking up and being like, okay, whatever.
Like, I don't care. I got a cool cane and I got grills in my mouth, lady. I don't care what it is, okay?
Oh, I would kill to see that fit. Yeah, I mean, this was a pick that was up there for me. Like you said, Sopranos, so core to New Jersey culture. I mean, it's just so important. Have I personally seen all the series? No, but we'll leave that for another time. I know. It's long.
Jersey?
I know. It's
wow.
I'm more ashamed to have seen that yet, and I also haven't seen Breaking Bad yet. Okay. Now, the reason I haven't seen Breaking Bad is also because I know all the plot points, or at least the major ones, and that's what's hard for me to get into. But anyway, this isn't a movie thing. Great pick, man. I think this was going to be one of my next picks. But thankfully, as usual, you left me something even better. Yeah. With the 4th pick in this draft. I got to go Homer a little bit. bit. And if we were including other years, I would argue that the swag chain that they rocked in 2021 just... You can find, there's this guy Dragonfly Jones on Twitter, one of my favorite follows on Twitter. He's amazing. People just go follow him. He's just a wise man in a lot of ways. But he's great, and he talked about it when Tatis hit that game-tying home run against the Astros, in the bottom of the 9th in the regular season, rocking the swag chain afterwards. Coolest thing ever. But we're talking about this year, and I still think the Padres are worth talking about with their Polaroid camera celebration. Now, here's the thing. It's not as fun as the other ones in the moment. The sword, and there's all sorts of ones that we're going to get into. The trident, the mobster jacket, from a couple years ago, the home run jacket that the Blue Jays had with all those pins on it, right? It's not as cool visually in the moment. Like, yeah, sometimes they make it fun. You'll see, like, I remember Josh Bell when he was on the Padres. He did, like, the, pose, like the Randy pose before Randy did it. Like, it can be fun sometimes, but mostly I like how unique it is because it gives us something after the game. Padres social media team often tweets out the Polaroid, and it's just kind of cool, and you sometimes get a collection of them. So it's this fun thing where it's like, yeah, on the broadcast it's not necessarily as cool and fun, but I like the adage of something unique, which is like, this is a cool thing to look forward to in social media. And there's been a couple Polaroids that are really fun that you'll just see. They print them out, they get this really nice shot of them, and I like that. I think that's a nice innovative way to go about things, especially considering that they probably got rid of the swag chain because they had one of the biggest collapses in their franchise history. So they wanted to move away from that. And I think they successfully found a way to move away from that.
Yeah, I think it's a super cool and unique celebration. I don't think, do Padres players ever get photos taken of them? Like, I don't think it ever happens, right? Like, I think it's pretty rare for athletes to get photos taken of them. So I think seeing a celebration where we actually see athletes on camera, just because it's so rare that athletes get photos taken of them ever on a daily basis, especially when they're playing their game. I've never seen a photo of Tatis before when he's at bat. So I'm very grateful when I get the home run celebration photo. Pick of Fernando Tatis there. So good pick by you, Javi. Of course, you went with the bias homer pick, and that's okay. I can't pick the D-backs because they are not even mentioned in this article, so they will not be drafted by anyone here today, unfortunately. But we're going to continue our draft of drafting the best home run celebrations. But before we continue, let me first say, don't forget to catch every D-backs and Padres pitch on their hometown broadcast when you download the Sirius XM app and either search up Diamondbacks or Padres. Do you ever have like a little transition on your YouTube videos? I've seen Bryce Patrick do it. He has like a little like slide transition between sponsors. I might need to add that.
I'm thinking of doing that too as like a little thing, but on the YouTube, you have our ads that come in too, so I haven't done that just yet. But I remember I used to when we were audio only back in the day, take some clip of this it's called Girlfriend Reviews on YouTube. Long story short, it's a really funny YouTube channel, and the girl says like, hold up a minute, and I just put that in the transition. Only OG listeners will understand this joke. This is like 2020 when I did this in the audio, but yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know, I just figured keep it a little simple, I guess.
Bryce did on our crossover. I was like, that's clean. That's interesting. All right, back into the home run celebration draft. Number 5 pick overall. Miller Thomas is back on the clock. That's me. And I'm going with another fun one because we just got the very unique athletes getting photos taken of themselves, taken off the board. And next up, I'm going to go with a little team out there in Michigan. They do this really fun celebration where they do a crossover of sports. Of course, I'm a guy who works in professional hockey. I work for the Arizona Coyotes, so we're in on the hockey train. And the Detroit Tigers do this little thing where they do a little crossover celebration, a little ode to the Detroit Red Wings by putting on a little hockey helmet, grabbing that hockey stick, and pretending that they're smashing that home run with the hockey stick. Basically a slap shot home run. I would like to see that. I wonder how far a hockey player could hit a baseball on the field with like a hockey stick. That would be kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm taking the Detroit Tigers. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe you just have the ball stationary off a tee, and maybe the guy swings at it with a hockey stick. I don't know if that's plausible. I don't know if that's entertaining or not, but I'm taking the Detroit Tigers. Helmet, stick, celebration, crossover. I like the Tigers here. Number 5 overall.
It's really cool. And I like that they do not just like the what's it called? The stick. That they also do the helmet too. It's a solid pick, man. They get the job done there, and I really appreciate it. And I think that I don't mind the sports, and especially because the Red Wings have, frankly, or actually, I don't know for sure, but I know they won a cup somewhat recently.
Sometime, maybe. Somewhere in the last 50 years they've done it.
Yeah, something like that. They definitely they've won one before, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I mean that's a really good pick, and I think that hey, Detroit needs to have something because their sports world can be tough. I'm talking about sports world. It could be tough. The Pistons ain't going nowhere. They got shafted in the draft. I guess the Lions are looking okay, but historically they are awful, right? Like they're like worse than anybody. And in baseball right now, they're watching my fellow Puerto Rican brethren, Javi Baez, somehow get worse this year and swing at every pitch, even if it's closer to where you and I are currently recording. He will apparently swing at the pitch. So really good pick, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Also, this fun draft idea I had off the top of my head based off what you just said. It's not exactly baseball related, but drafting the saddest sports cities. So you could draft like Detroit and all their, losses and all their sports over the years. You could draft another, city with all their sucking teams over the years. I just think that could be kind of fun to play in the cynicism. And then you could do the reverse, drafting the best sports cities based off, the historical relevance of those teams in those cities as well. So that could be kind of fun. But who do you got next? Number 6 overall.
I forgot who I was going to pick.
Oh,
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I totally forgot who I was gonna pick, and I know it was a good one. So instead, I'm going with I'm going off a little bit off the top because I appreciate the craftsmanship here.
Oh,
I appreciate the look of it. I think that on top of it just making sense, it just looks cool, and I appreciate what it looks like, and that's the samurai helmet for the Los Angeles Angels. I mean, come on. Come on. Everything. When you just say, everyone, I want everyone listening, just say the word samurai to yourself right now. Okay. Go ahead. I'll give everyone a second.
Samurai.
Just say it. It sounds awesome. You know what I mean? Like, you could be out the womb, you could be in pre-K, and you could be like, wow, samurai. Like, what do they do? Like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? So I just think anything involving samurai is just always awesome. Anything that seems somewhat samurai adjacent is awesome. And I appreciate it. I think that it's great. And, come on. I mean, especially with Shohei Ohtani there, especially just with how much great offense they have, that it's kind of cool to have a warrior be your kind of mascot celebration thing. Especially now, I know that the Angels are a mess, but just usually when they're firing on all cylinders, offense is their strength. It's pretty cool that you get to see this guy crad with the samurai helmet. I remember when the MLB The Show for heading into last year had the legendary edition of their game, which Ohtani was the cover athlete, and then they had this like really cool art. Everyone should look it up if you don't remember, of his like samurai form with like the blade with Ohtani as the cover athlete. Really, really cool stuff. Sick. So that is my pick.
First pick that I like by Javi Reyes all draft, because the samurai hat was like right there. I was like, if I could get the sword and the samurai hat in the same draft, that got me a little fit. I'm going out for Halloween. I'm going to be a ninja or something. So I would have really liked to clean up this draft, bookend it with my samurai hat, but it's okay. I had two options, and that was going to be option one. So I'm going to have to go with option two here. Back in high school, my Spanish teacher, she always said you have to go fishing for your Spanish words. She had like a very thick, like Argentine accent. She'd be like, when you go for your Spanish words, you got to go fishing. You have to look for your words, form them in your head. You got to go fishing. There's one team that goes fishing every time they hit a home run. They put the little fishing jacket on. I don't think they get a Bass Pro Master hat, but maybe they should. Because this team, when they hit a home run, they get their little fishing pole. They're reeling in some dingers, and they're taking it home for dinner. I'm talking about the Minnesota Twins with their going fishing celebration. I think it's a lot of fun. Maybe you could get like a little magnet at the end where you put a little magnet on the baseball and you can actually like reel it in. Maybe you could do something like that. That could be really something fun for the social team. Maybe you could fish it out on a lure and send it out to fans, and they could grab the baseball off the fishing pole. So many different activations you could do there for the fans and social media. Look at me just bubbling with ideas, but I think that's a really fun. That's how I'm going to end my draft. Gone fishing, Minnesota Twins.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I think that the Twins, and it's just the like, it's so silly. Like to see, like, obviously we mentioned like the G-Man Choi gift with the sword is great. And, they sometimes can be silly with the picture or with the samurai helmet, but like, it's just, I love how like silly it is. I like that it's like, oh, we're casting a little net. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so silly. And I really appreciate that. I cannot remember a team discussed less than them, by the way. I cannot get over this. I'm sorry. I know I've brought it up before. And especially, by the way, that their two most famous players are not why they've been good with Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. Like, this Twins team is so weird. They're going to like randomly upset someone in the playoffs, aren't they? That's what's going to happen. They're going to ruin some team that's actually probably better, but they'll go on a hot streak for 3 games. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Correa will finally wake up because he's great in the playoffs historically. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great pick, man. One of my favorite picks.
Oh, wow.
So far.
One of the most under-discussed first place teams we've ever said. And the Selly, just a good ode to the state itself, because on the back of the vest it says land of 10,000 rakes. Of course, Minnesota, the city of 10,000 lakes. So just a great ode, great homage to the city there with their celebration. Javi, how are you going to wrap up our draft here?
I have once again forgot what my next pick was going to be. But it's totally okay. We're going to land the plane anyway. It's okay because I've had a good draft and I can't mess it up now. At least you would think. You would think I can't mess this up. I'm gonna go. This is a little bit of a homer pick. Shocker that's how I'm gonna
Another one.
I'm actually going with the Royals' gladiator helmet thing. The reason why, and this is just as there requires a little bit of goalpost moving here, but the reason I like it is because it looks so much like the MF Doom mask. Okay. When you look at it from a distance, it looks like he's rocking the Victor Von Doom look. That's why I'm picking that one, because it elicits that vibe. I know it doesn't have, Victor Von Doom for Marvel Comics, Dr. Doom for people who don't know. He's got the green, hood and everything. I understand that. And I understand that, MF Doom is the same way, but he's like an album cover and all that stuff, right? But it reminds me a lot of it. So I'm picking that one. And I just got love for both MF Doom and hip hop in general, and then Marvel Comics. So just got to shout that one out. I think it's a pretty good one. I know the team has been miserable, but this isn't a draft about which team is the best and whatnot. So that's what I'm going with for my last pick. A little bit of homer one, but I don't think the worst one that I've done for a bit. No. I've gotten crazy before on here with bits.
And it makes you a little sad and nostalgic.
I think.
Am I? Can you not hear me?
On. Oh, let me talk for him. Hold on. Or maybe it's me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I don't know what happened.
Okay, no problem. I was like, I think everything's cool over here. I was going to say, did you do that pick, because of nostalgia, a little reminisce of your old friend, he who should not be named, who was a Royals legend? Is that why? A little ode to him? Former Padre? I'm not even going to say his name. You already know who I'm talking about. I'm sure all the listeners on your side know who we're talking about as well. Hey, we know. We got a little love in his heart. Wrapping up. Let me see. Who was the last team I just picked? I picked the Twins, and then you wrapped it up just now with them. So to recap the draft, I took the Pirates little sword thing. You took the Mariners trident. I took White Sox mobster. You took Padres Polaroids. I took Tigers hockey. You took Angels samurai. I took the Twins little gone fishing, and then we wrapped it up with your pick just now, which was.
The Royals gladiator mask. Sorry.
Royals gladiator. Actually, I couldn't remember either. So I was like, help me out here, buddy. Please. All right.
I gotcha.
That's going to wrap up this draft and another crossover. Locked On Padres host Javier Reyes. Javi, where can the listeners find you as always?
You can find me at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO, and then at LO_Padres. If you just want only baseball related stuff. And then, of course, Locked On Padres on YouTube. Been killing it there. If the Padres somehow get hot, don't worry, I got you covered. And I'll start tweeting about them even more if they start getting really hot. And hopefully we get some good vibes to close out the season. And yeah, go check that out, and go check out Just Baseball, where I've been writing a lot recently. And I've got other movie related stuff if you're interested in that. I'll tweet about that from, I've reviewed Blue Beetle. I got some stuff for the website Den of Geek coming out. One Piece live action coming out next week. I'm a big, for all my anime homies out there. I'm saying that because I know some of my listeners are big anime fans as well. So just keeping the good vibes, even though the Padres have done their best to try and detract and just destroy those vibes. We keep on, man. We keep on.
Hey, that's okay. At Career Times 24 for my personal account, or look up Locked On Diamondbacks, both Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle, streaming on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube. Hit subscribe to Locked On Diamondbacks, Locked On Padres on YouTube. And don't forget to catch every D-backs and Padres pitch on their hometown broadcast when you download the Sirius XM app and either search up Diamondbacks or Padres. That's it from us. Until next week, doses.